Let's just do it from the outside. Hey everybody, I'm Old Guy Gamer, this is American Truck Sim. You might notice that I am starting this video where I finished the old one, so yeah, I'm just going to keep recording and keep moving, and we'll see where this video takes us. Videos at the same time. We are actually headed from Nebraska back to Kansas. There was a load available going to a town that I hadn't discovered yet, so we'll head to Kansas. We'll discover a town there, and then we'll jump back and forth between Kansas and Nebraska. I got to discover all the towns anyway, so might as well be something productive while we're talking about my childhood or whatever the next page brings us out of our book. In case you're unaware, we are answering some of my daughter's questions. She bought me a book of a bunch of questions to answer, stuff that kids might want to know about their dads. So rather than write it all down, I'm just making videos about it, and she'll figure it out later. Maybe I need to go through and redo my playlists and stuff so that the ones that are more diary centric can be in one playlist, and then the ones that are just gaming commentary can be not wasted time on later when the kids are looking for stuff when I'm telling stories rather than talking about the game. I'm gonna pull over here and sleep if it'll let me, or is that way down below? Because I'd like to drive during the day, not at night. Alright, I'm gonna go to sleep. I'll see you in the morning, and then we'll talk about what we talk about. Oh, this is an arrest. Oh, you wasting all this time just to get to daylight so I can shoot a better video. I got 60,000 miles on this truck nowadays. It's doing pretty good. I saw a video once of a guy who gets paid to do American Truck Sim videos. And you can tell that he doesn't play it very often except for when he gets paid. And he had one of the videos he did showed a profile, and he did a quick little shot of his profile, and it showed like millions of experience points. And I was like, he had to have faked that or hacked it or gotten some sort of bought it, something. There's no way this guy earned all those driving points. That was when I decided I'm gonna show every single video I do, show all the miles I put on certain trucks and all of the experience points I get. No, I haven't gotten every single mile, but I can say that when I hit level 58 with my 314,000 XP, that I earned it, because every single video is on YouTube. Well, every video is on YouTube, but not every mile is on YouTube, but almost every mile. A vast, overwhelming majority of my miles are on YouTube, and you can see 60,000 miles on this truck. You can go back and look. I started IK Freight as a company. That's this company that I'm running right now, with a used 1970 something Kenworth K100 cab over. I love that truck, but running servers and doing convoys when other people have to match your mods and all that stuff, it was just so not worth it. So I went back to a in-game truck to make it easier when I'm doing convoys, and then I stopped doing convoys, of course. So I could have kept that K100, but this was the truck of choice. This is the one I decided to put all my miles on. So hitting 60,000, that's quite a milestone for me. And in case you're not aware, the World of Trucks things, I do have it running in the background. I never reinstalled trucksbook.eu on this computer, the new computer. I had it on the old one. I never really did anything with it. It was just there to kind of see my overall total miles and deliveries and stuff like that. But now they do that in game, so you don't even really need it. I never really got into Trucksbook that much where I was like a expert on all the content going on over there, but I did notice there were quite a few drivers. Like, it'll tell you your career miles across every truck you've ever driven, and there are some guys who put a lot of miles in this game. I'm not at those levels, but I did say I wanted to prove that I was driving my miles and earning my XP, not just buying them to make videos. I think that would be like the ultimate goal. Like I've always said, I never wanted to, I don't care about being popular on YouTube, like being an influencer or anything like that, because obviously I don't do that kind of content. Mine's more of a diary. But if I could make 1,000 subscribers and get monetized, that would be kind of cool. And if I could somehow get SCS to start paying me to do videos when a new state is released or a new update is available, that's like pie in the sky kind of dreams. Like I love this game that much. I love driving. I love driving games. I like driving in the real world, like in real life. Just apple pie, high in the sky kind of dreams. Maybe someday, we'll see. So the next thing in the book that my daughter bought me asked me about movies that were released the year that I was born. And it's kind of hard to answer that question. I love talking about movies. It's hard to answer that question without giving away the year I was born, but I think I'm willing to do that because I'm not giving out my birthday. And just so you know, the Old Guy Gamer logo is meant to be an older person than I actually am, because I wanted it to be like a retiree in the logo. It's not really meant to look like me. It's just an old guy. And there is a fire extinguisher spouting water. Is that what that is? Well, that's not what water main breaks look like, but I think that's what they're trying to do there. Say a water main break. Water main breaks, water doesn't go shooting up in the air like that. It just bubbles up to the ground and starts covering the ground. So I was born in 1975. I like to pretend that the Old Guy Gamer persona was born in like the 40s or maybe 1950. But I was born in 1975. The top grossing movie of the year that year was Jaws. It was overwhelmingly the most popular video or movie released that year. I do have a list pulled up. Jaws was released that year. It made 133 million. I think that's domestic. Yeah. The Towering Inferno was released that year. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. That is probably an Academy Award winner, if I remember correctly. I'll look that up before we get this video going too far. The Rocky Horror Picture Show, which never had much critical acclaim, but obviously it's a fan favorite, considering they're still playing it on Halloweens across the country every year. I never saw Rocky Horror Picture Show, but I had a couple of friends who were really into it, did all the dressing up and going in character kind of thing. I should probably do this snapshot up here. Shampoo, I've never heard of that movie. That was the 4th top grossing film of the year. And then Dog Day Afternoon, I've at least heard of that. I've never seen it. Return of the Pink Panther, 3 Days of Condor, Funny Lady, I've heard of that. I want to say I started to watch that movie, but I never really got into it. I haven't seen the whole thing. The Other Side of the Mountain and Tommy. I don't know what those movies are, but those are the top 10 movies in 1975. I also have a list of Academy Award winners pulled up. Let me get to that real quick. So I pulled up the list of what movies and actors and actresses won what awards. I tend to be an Academy Awards guy. Those are the ones I like to watch the most. I tend to watch them most years. Back when movies were on VHS, I had a collection of all of, not all, but I was building a collection of all of the Academy Award winners for Best Picture on VHS. And then DVDs came out and I had to sell, I didn't have to, but I chose to sell all my VHSs to a local pawn shop to kind of start building my DVD collection. And it just broke my heart how little those Academy Award winning movies are worth when you sell them to a pawn shop. Like I was working backwards from the date that I was collecting. So let's say I was collecting in the 90s. I would have the new movies from the 90s whenever a new award came out, but I was also trying to collect the old ones from like 1920s. So like Braveheart was an amazing movie, and then I got, a couple of bucks more for that one, but like I'm going through like All Quiet on the Western Front and Grand Hotel and all of those old Academy Award winner movies, and they weren't giving me anything for those movies. No one knew what they were. He's like, what is that? What is this? What is this? I'm like, it's all Academy Award winners from the 20s. He's like, oh, $1. Like, he didn't want to give me anything for those movies. So that was kind of a punch in the gut. And now you could probably just... I remember when I was a kid, maybe a teenager, when DVDs came out. No, that wasn't a teenager. What the heck? What am I talking about? When DVDs first came out, I was an adult, but I was probably in my 20s. There were these rumors going around that someday, way off in the future, every movie ever made would be available on one disc. I mean, that was before the internet, before Wi-Fi and all that stuff. Now we have streaming services. It's like, oh, you don't even need the disc. You just need this magic that gets beamed into your house that can show you any movie you ever wanted to see ever. I still do have DVDs, though. We use those for the RV when we're camping. I had to go buy a DVD player to put in the camper because they didn't have one, but at least I still have a use for them. But anyways, as far as the award winners, Academy Awards, move my microphone just a hair. Let's see. I've got a list of Golden Globe Awards, BAFTA Awards, and Academy Awards. I'm just going to focus on the Academy Awards. Best film was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I actually have seen that, the Jack Nicholson movie. That's really good. You should watch that movie because there's lots of pop culture references to that movie. Like if you watch The Simpsons and you've ever seen the one where the guy is like the Native American in the mental hospital and he rips the water fountain off the wall and throws it through a window and then he jumps through the window and he escapes the mental hospital by running away. That's a One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest reference. So if you ever hear of Nurse Ratched, I think her name was, in that movie, that's a pop culture reference to healthcare workers that are not that nice to their patients. It comes from that movie. Let's see. Best director was the director of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Best actor was Jack Nicholson for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Best actress was Louise Fletcher, which was probably Nurse Ratched. Best supporting actor, George Burns, who I like. He was in The Sunshine Boys. I've never heard of that movie. I know George Burns from like the 80s and 90s, the movies he was in that time frame, when he was already like a 90-year-old, but never heard of The Sunshine Boys. I'm gonna have to look that one up and see what that's about. That's one good thing about Netflix. If you search a movie on Netflix and they don't have it, there's been quite a few times where it's popped up and been available like 2 months later when I searched for something and it wasn't available at first. Alright, Nanny State. I wasn't even close to hitting that car. Thanks for giving me a warning. Best supporting actress, Lee Grant for Shampoo. I don't know who Lee Grant is. It sounds kind of familiar, but I don't know who she is. Best Screenplay Adapted. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. Best Screenplay Original, Dog Day Afternoon. Oh, John Williams won Best Original Score for Jaws. That makes sense. Best Original Song, I'm Easy, from Nashville. Normally they put the name of the movie in bold on this list I'm looking at, and the Nashville is not in bold, so maybe that's the name of a group. I do know, I've looked at it before, the #1 song on the Billboard charts for 1975 was Captain and Tennille, Love Will Keep Us Together. I didn't have to look that one up. If you don't know who Captain and Tennille are, go look them up. They're not worth listening to and becoming your favorite band probably, but every once in a while you'll hear a Captain and Tennille reference. And I would imagine that's probably their most famous song. Just happened to be in the year I was born. I don't really remember any movies going back that far. I mean, I've seen Jaws and like the ones we talked about, but Rocky was, maybe that was 1974. Rocky was one of the Best Picture winners from the mid-70s. I would have guessed that was 75, so to find out it was One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest was a bit of a surprise to me. Of course, everyone knows Rocky is a pop culture reference. If you haven't seen that, you should. It's not even about boxing. It's just about his story. I'm going to pull in here just long enough to discover this Peterbilt dealership. Roll down that window and stick my head out on a nice warm, probably still in Nebraska day. I hope you all appreciate that I didn't just go out and buy the biggest, fanciest Peterbilt. I bought like the low roof model instead of the high roof model. Because I didn't want to just go out and buy the biggest and best Peterbilt available. The only reason I say that is because I was looking at that W900 over there. They make a long... I forget what they call it. Maybe it's a W900 long or something like that. Like, that would have been a cool everyday truck to drive every day and show off for a long distance, long-term truck driving company video series. I chose the Peterbilt instead. 900L maybe? Maybe that's what it's called. I forget. I did have a mod for a 900L. I drove it for a little bit. That was back when I was doing stupid things because the game was so small and so limited in the amount of roads that you could drive on. I mean, California is big, but I mean, not compared to what we're dealing with today, the game size. So I was doing crazy things with the mods and all that stuff. So I'd have the W900L, and it had like a 15,000 horsepower engine. So you just barely tap the gas and you're doing 200 miles an hour. Yeah, I try and make it more of a simulation nowadays. So let me know. Just leave a comment down below. I'd really appreciate if you guys would like and subscribe. Help me get to 1,000 subscribers. I actually didn't mention anything about it, but in the last video I talked about how my daughters walked in the doors at separate times, walked into my house at separate times, and brought up that I wasn't doing videos much anymore. And so it kind of motivated me to get back on and do something back on the channel. But I noticed that, like, I just was on a cruise, and while I was driving to the East Coast to go on my cruise, I hit 300 subscribers. So I was pretty happy with that. I'm sitting at like 301 right now, which I know is not a huge number compared to the big YouTubers, but considering there's 300 people out there that got help from one of my tutorials or enjoy listening to me ramble or whatever, that's a big number for me, so I'm pretty happy with that. Plus, every little milestone gives you a little bit of motivation to keep going. I don't know if I'd be as interested in this game, playing it as much as I do, if I didn't talk to someone about something while I was playing it. I mean, the real truckers out there on the road, I know they don't use CBs now as much as they used to because of technology kind of taking over the role of the CB, but imagine being out on the empty roads and the phones weren't in the cab with you. The only thing you had was the radio on the dash or the CB radio hanging over your head. So if I knew I was going to be on this long stretch of road behind that truck with the red trailer ahead of me, I'd just tap in and say, howdy, what's your name, where are you from, heard any good jokes lately? Tell me about the last hooker you killed and hid in the woods somewhere. We use the Waze app now to tell us where the cops are. That's what the CB radio did back in the day. Oh, let's see what the next question is in the old book while we're going slow. Google the following events. What are some notable events in 1975? I didn't do that. What movie won Best Academy Award? Best Actor, Best Actress. Few popular movies that came out that year, so I should look up notable events in 1975 real quick. Well, in the time it took me to do that little wiggle in the lane, I went and Googled notable events in 1975, so we'll talk about some of that. And I am woefully unprepared in my historical education to talk about all this stuff. Like, I've heard of détente before, but I have no idea what it is. It literally says notable events in 1975, détente. I have no idea. I mean, it's spelled funny, so I know how to say it at least, but I don't know what it is. I don't know what it refers to. Margaret Thatcher became the first woman leader of the Conservative... Well, she was... Oh boy. Oh boy. Let's see, we'll edit that little lane jaunt out. Margaret Thatcher became the first woman to lead the Conservative Party in Britain. I wonder if that's when she became Prime Minister. She was the first Prime Minister I ever heard of when I was a kid. Like, I didn't remember any Prime Ministers before her. Of course, I was alive during the Carter administration, but I don't remember him. I only remember Reagan because I was a little bit older then. The Vietnam War ended in 1975. Apollo and Soyuz, one American and one Russian spacecraft linking up in space. in the first ever... Oh boy. See, that's why those merge ramps need to be a little longer. I need the truck mirror to be able to see down there. Otherwise, you gotta stick your head out the window to see if there's anybody coming. Anyways, let's see. The Suez Canal was opened after 8 years being closed. The Suez Canal. Could you imagine having to be a captain of a boat that had to go all the way around Africa for 8 years because Egypt didn't want to open the Suez Canal? I mean, the Suez Canal and the Panama Canal have got to be two of the busiest canals in the world. And they're just closing one. Yeah, we're going to raise the toll. Oh, you don't want to pay it? Alright, we'll close it. We'll see how much you like paying going around Africa. I don't know if that's historically accurate or not. I'm just imagining that's some of the problem. You own the cut-through. You probably get to charge whatever you want. It's not just the money of the cost of going around Africa, it's the time involved. That's the money killer. Probably. Hopefully that was just a farm and not a secret road. Let's see, Margaret Thatcher, Suez, Francisco Franco, Spanish dictator Francisco Franco died in Madrid in November of 1975. I don't know why that's important, but it must be, or they wouldn't have mentioned it like number 7. And then Ronald Reagan is on here. Former California Governor Ronald Reagan announced his candidacy for the Republican presidential nomination, challenging Gerald Ford. So that would have been 75. He announced it for the 76 election. So he must have lost the primary. Carter won in 76. So I wonder who ran against Carter. It wouldn't have been Reagan, because Reagan won both of his times that he was the candidate in 80 and 84. I'm just shooting from the hip here. That must have meant Gerald Ford won the Republican primary but then lost the general election. Someone tell me if I'm wrong. I don't know if I'm going to care enough to look that up after this video's done. We'll see. Oh my goodness. Nope, there's cars coming. Dang it. Phillipsburg. Discovered. Energy crisis. That was probably more to do with the fuel than the financial crisis, but, you know, probably tied together. Peace in the Middle East in 1975? Alright, I'll take your word for it, Google. The conflict in Ireland. Patty Hearst was jailed. Oh, who's the Hearst family? Is that the paper guy from California? William Randolph Hearst? What would she have been jailed for? Busing protests? The Hoffa disappearance was 1975. I mean, that's another pop culture reference. Is where's the body of Jimmy Hoffa? But I've never, like, looked it up to learn more about it. I mean, I know he was a union... I don't even know what you'd call him. He was a fierce supporter of unions. We'll put it that way. International Women's Year. I don't know what that means either. Fall of Saigon. Just looking all over this page to see what else is there. That's pretty much it. On the first page of Google. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that. We talked about a lot of stuff. We covered like 2 whole pages in the book. We'll save the next page for the next video. So how are you all doing? I'm doing great. My daughter got married. Another daughter got engaged. I had to do a father of the bride speech, which I was pretty proud of. I am kind of scared to go back and watch the video of it because I'm afraid it'll be a horrible nightmare and I'll hate my performance. Even though I liked it from the way I remember it, I don't want to see a video of it and then it ruined the memory. So I will probably never watch a video of me giving a father of the bride speech at my daughter's wedding. But I feel like I nailed it. So I'm just going to live with it and not give myself a chance to see any evidence contrary to my opinion in my own head. That was a really great wedding. It was one of those... You ever been to a wedding where there's a DJ but no one dances? It wasn't one of those weddings, but there was a point where I was standing by the head table just talking to other people, and the DJ was playing. This is after dinner, after speeches, just meant to be where the party starts, you know? And everyone was around the edges of the room just kind of like hanging out and talking. And I was like thinking back to my wedding where me and my wife were the ones kind of getting everybody out on the dance floor. And we're not dancers, but we wanted people to have fun, and just being stupid on the dance floor is kind of what makes everybody have fun. And we've been to weddings since where it just was kind of a lull and there was nobody out there dancing. And it's just a different wedding feel when no one's dancing. There's good music all the time, but no one's dancing. So I was standing over at the head table talking to whoever I was talking to, and I was like, man, the music's playing. This is the point where everyone's supposed to be dancing. And I was hoping that the younger people would be like dancing on their own without anybody having to like encourage people to go out and dance. But I was like, you know what? I'm not letting my daughter's wedding become one of those weddings where people don't dance. I was like, I'm going out there. I don't care. And I wasn't drunk or nothing. I probably had a drink or two. I don't remember. But I went to the bar and I got myself a Dr. Pepper so it would look like I was drinking. And then I grabbed this little inflatable stick that like had lights in it that like just blinked or pulsed or whatever it was. So I just went out on the dance floor and started sipping my Dr. Pepper and like waving this little inflatable thing around to the beat of the music. And I didn't even try and get anybody to come out to the dance floor with me, but eventually my wife came out there, and then my daughter came out there, and then more people came out there, and then there was this drunk lady who's like, you know, like the young hot woman that's always too drunk at a wedding and goes a little too crazy. One of those popped up on the dance floor, and then she was like, I appreciate what she was doing because she was out like trying to get other people out on the dance floor. So it was kind of fun. Me and her like had a little, we hit it off because we were trying to get people to dance, but she was way more outgoing about going off the dance floor and grabbing people and like pulling them onto the dance floor. So that was kind of funny. And I just stood out there the whole time, just like kind of moving around to the beat of the music and like waving that thing around and just trying to get people like, hey, you don't have to dance, just come out here and join me in the middle of the dance floor and wave your little inflatable blinky light stick and we'll pretend we're dancing. And then of course everyone started dancing, and I don't know if I got it started, but I feel like I did, because I wasn't going to let it happen where people weren't going to dance at that wedding. So I wonder if there's any video to prove that I was one of the first ones on the dance floor. The world may never know. And my daughter's going to come out and be like, you didn't do that. I was the one who... Someone else will say that they were the ones, but I think I was the one who got everybody dancing. The world may never know, but we'll see. Yeah, I got another wedding coming up. I don't know what the date is yet. They still haven't picked a date, but I don't know how I'm going to meet the challenge of coming up with another Father of the Bride speech that matches the first one. Oh, I spent months writing that speech, just cultivating it and letting it grow and coming up with new ideas and then editing it like a million times. And then of course my first daughter, I mean, she likes music and likes to dance and all that stuff, but my second daughter, she's the one, the younger one, she's the one who is the dancer, has been dancing since she was a toddler. So I would imagine we're gonna have to come up with a special dance for the father and bride dance. That's going to be another one that's going to be hard to top. The older daughter, Heather, her wedding, we did a father-bride dance. Father-daughter dance, I don't know what you call it. Father of the bride dance. We did Lady by Brett Young, I think his name is. Brett something. It's not Brett Eldridge. Maybe it's Brett Young. I'll have to look that one up. We did that. We danced to that song, and then we kind of indicated for my wife to come out and join us. So it was like a 3-person dance. It was kind of fun. There were people crying and everyone was touched. It was pretty cool. It was a nice little moment. You don't normally see father-daughter dances that kind of turn that way emotional. Like a lot of times you'll see the upbeat, like fun dancing, and we turned it into more of an emotional moment. So it was kind of nice. It was pretty cool. I mean, I was shooting for people to make people cry. And it worked from what I heard. I heard a lot of people were crying because it was so emotional. People thinking of their own mothers, probably. And me and Heather out there just dancing, giggling, enjoying the moment. And then when we kind of stopped with the... There was probably, what, 30 seconds left in the song when we invited her out on the floor to join us. And you could see, like, the videographer and the photographer are, like, surprised because they didn't know it was going to happen. And then they were like, oh my gosh, and then they're running to, like, get the perfect angle to get all three of us in photos and stuff like that. So it was a pretty cool moment. I don't know how I'm going to recreate, I can't recreate that moment, but I don't know how we're going to beat that one for the second wedding. It's probably going to be more of a traditional father-daughter fast dance, you know, history of dance kind of, I can't believe the dad is dancing like that kind of moment. We'll see. We got to come up with something original because we'd like to be original and funny and clever. And I just don't know what we're going to do yet. So if you have any ideas, let me know. I don't like copying other people's ideas. So, you know, we'll figure something out. I just realized we're almost there. We're 3 miles away. This is it. We did a whole video. We talked a lot the whole way. Well, you know, next time we'll talk about me being a expectant grandfather. Well, let's go make this delivery and we'll say see you next time. I think I would get out and look here. Alright, it's not the best setup, but it is... I at least can get it in there. I might have to pull up twice. Engine off. Alright, that's it. We made it. You guys go watch some more videos. I'll go play some more games. I'll see you back here next time. Bye.